Hello BuzzTouch enthusiasts. Today we are going to go over installing the Eclipse ADT bundle on Windows 8. The reason that we're doing this is because a couple of people have reported some issues getting it running. So I figured since this is a new operating system that it would be a good opportunity to go ahead and do an install and see what happens. And I'm going to be doing this kind of on the fly. I've done it once to make sure that it works, but this is going to be a new installation, so we will see what happens. So here we are looking at a Windows 8 system, and I've gone ahead and brought up the login screen. So I will log into Windows 8 and we will see how this all looks. And here is the start screen that you get with Windows 8. This is their Metro design. I think they call it that. Pretty interesting. So the first thing that you're going to want to do, and I've already done this, but I'm going to show you how to do it, is download the Java JDK, Java Developers Kit, and the Eclipse ADT bundle, both of which you're going to need in order to do Android development in Windows 8. Now there's a couple different ways that you can do this, but I'm going to suggest that you go ahead and click on the desktop icon here, which will bring up your desktop, and then launch your Internet Explorer browser. And of course you are free to use whatever browser that you would like. This is literally a fresh install of Windows 8. Nothing has been added to it aside from what comes when you install it. So we will use Bing here. Type in Java JDK, and it will bring up this link. Hit the download JDK link and give it a second. So it's going to present this page to you. The first thing that you have to do is accept the license agreement, and then you pick the level that you want to download. I picked the 32-bit one for this particular example. The thing that you need to know is that the bitness, 32 or 64-bit, of the Java JDK and the Eclipse ADT bundle need to match. So if you pick 32-bit for one, you have to pick 32-bit for the other. If you pick 64-bit for one, you have to pick 64-bit for the other. I think most new computers these days are 64-bit, so if you have a lot of memory in your system, that's a good one to go with. Really the only advantage of 64-bit is, or one of the main advantages of 64-bit is that it can handle more memory. So anyways, stick with the 32-bit, and if you click on this link, it will begin the download. Like I said, I've already downloaded it, so I'm not going to do that. If you come back here and hit the Eclipse ADT bundle, and it will give you a couple of security company things here, but if you hit the ADT plugin for Android developers, and then you can hit the download link right here, and then hit the download the SDK bundle for Windows. It's going to ask you to accept a licensing agreement, so you can read it if you want, and then select the bit version. Again, since I selected 32-bit Java JDK, I need the 32-bit version of this, and then hit the download bundle. And once that is downloaded, you can come over here, click on File Manager, go to the downloads thing, and you will have those that executable in the case of JDK, and the zip file in the case of the ADT bundle. And I've also downloaded a zip file of an Android application just to show you how to import it into Eclipse. So the first thing we're going to do is install the Java JDK. So go ahead and double click on that, and it will launch the installer. And select yes for that. And now it's preparing to install. Let's go ahead and hit next. So you have a couple different choices here. You can just accept everything that you want, or you can not install some stuff. I'm going to not install the source code, and I'm not going to actually we have to. I'm not going to install the Java database because I don't want it, and this will hopefully speed things up a little bit. So go ahead and hit next, and now it is doing the install. So we'll kind of kick back and watch that. I am running Windows 8 in a VM using VMware Player, which is free for non-commercial use. So you can Google VMware Player and you can set up all sorts of operating systems on your computer. So it's doing its thing. I'm going to be quiet for a minute, and then if I have to, I'll edit out this long install process and then come back. So after it's done extracting everything, it's going to actually ask you to install Java, so go ahead and hit Next. And this is for the JRE, the Java Runtime Engine. So you essentially need both, but it's the JDK that Eclipse requires. JRE, Java Runtime Engine, or environment, is what a lot of the Java applications use. So it is successfully installed. Hit Finish, and it's going to launch the browser, I believe, for you to go ahead and register your installation. You don't have to do that. So let's go ahead and minimize that. Alright, so that is installed. And it is installed if you expand your computer here, local disk, program files. You'll see it here in Java and Java JDK. And so this right here, this C program files Java JDK, is the path to your Java install, in case you ever need that potential hint. Okay, so we have that installed. Let us go back up here to downloads. So the cool thing about the ADT bundle is that it's not an executable install. It's just a unzip and place type of thing. So highlight it, right click to extract all, and just go ahead and keep this as the destination or whatever you happen to have, and then hit extract, and it will unzip it. There's kind of a cool little feature here now in Windows 8 that shows you in a graph format the speed of the unzip. I thought that was kind of cool. First time I did it, all of a sudden the speed kind of went down to practically nothing, like it's doing right now, and I couldn't figure out why. So this is actually going to take a little bit of time, so we're just going to let it run, and I'll be back when it's done. There's quite a few files here, something like 8,741 files. So I'm going to let it do its thing, and then I will come back. Okay, we are just about done extracting this puppy. It's taken quite a while, probably about 10 minutes. I'm assuming it takes less time on a regular computer, and that the reason this takes so long is because it's a virtual machine and it then provisions the drive, which means it doesn't give you all the storage that you ask for at once. But it is done now, and if you notice now, we have in the download section, we have our ADT bundle, and it's this ADT bundle, this one right here, that you're going to want to move into the location that you want to do your development and stuff from. So if we come over here to local disk, and this is what I do, is I do new folder, and let's call it Android development to be consistent with all the other ones that I've done. Come back here into the downloads. You can copy or cut, whichever you want. Let's do a copy. Come in here in Android development, paste it, and this will take a few moments as well, not quite as long, but it's going to paste everything you just unzipped into the Android development folder, and that's where you will work from this point forward. So we'll let this run, and then I will come back when it's done. Okay, we are just about done. I don't know about you, but I find this little graph kind of mesmerizing. It's interesting to watch the speeds go up and down. Kind of makes me want to be in the mountains with a nice little valley there. Okay, so that's done. The reason I didn't extract it directly into the Android development folder is because then I would have the nested ADT bundle Windows x86 folder, and then I would have to move something anyway. So it's just the way I do it. It's not right or wrong. Okay, so come in here. Come into your Eclipse folder, and this is the executable that you're going to run to start up Eclipse, but right now we're just going to paste it or pin it to the desktop. So right click, and you can do create a desktop shortcut. And you can also pin it to the start bar if you want, all that kind of good stuff. So we will come back to that in a second and get this puppy launched, but first I'm going to go ahead and extract the source folder that I downloaded from BuzzTouch just to make sure that's ready. We'll just extract it to right where it is. This one should go super fast because it's only like 2 megabytes. Okay, so that's done. So we are done being in here. We don't need to be in Explorer anymore. Okay, so we have successfully installed the Java JDK. We have unzipped and essentially installed the Eclipse ADT bundle, which includes the Android SDK kit and everything that you need there. So let's go ahead and launch Eclipse. Double click on that icon and it will start. So there we go, Android developer tools. Again, it's just a little bit slow since I'm running in a VM, but once we get up and running, it's not too bad. And it's going to ask you to select a workspace, so just unless you have reason to change it, just use that as the default. Hit OK. I kind of find it interesting that this graphic has all these different devices on it, because that's kind of what it feels like designing for Android and all the different devices you have to test for. Kind of appropriate that they have that on there. Alright, so now we have Eclipse launched for the first time. It's going to ask you if you want to send usage statistics to Google. You can, do whatever you want. And then I usually click out of this Android IDE welcome here. And now I'm just going to set up the environment really quickly. I get rid of the outline section. I get rid of the declaration pane tab. Get rid of the Java doc tab. I come up here and I add a few things. I go to show view other and into Android, and I add devices and I add logcat. And those are the two things that I find that we need quite frequently, especially logcat. So we have that. So the next thing we want to do is make sure that the SDK is set up correctly. So if you go to Windows, Android SDK Manager, and it will start that. And what we need to do, most likely, is download the Google API, which is required for BuzzTouch applications. So it's going out, it's going to see what's available. Notice that we have show updates in new and installed checked. If you don't see Google APIs and stuff, you want to make sure that the updates in new box is checked. So we have the tools and everything is installed. We have Android 4.2, which is Jelly Bean, but we do not have the Google API installed. So let's do that real quick, and that's the only thing that I'm going to install right now. You can also install the Android 2.2 API 8 if you want, but if you just want to test on Jelly Bean, that's totally fine too. The API 8 is a minimum requirement. So let's go ahead and install this one package. Accept the licensing agreement. Hit install. And now it's going to download, unzip, and then install. And since this is a few minute process, I'm going to let it run, and then I will come back when it's done. Okay, the download is finished and it is doing the install now. It's unzipping it and it's downloading the packages. So now you notice Google API here says it's installed. So that's cool. So we will go ahead and exit out of that. There may be some errors here. There's nothing to worry about. Go ahead and clear that. Okay, last thing we're going to do before we get this up and running is to create a virtual device. So go to Window, Android Virtual Device Manager. Do new, call it whatever you want. Pick a type of device. Let's just go to the Nexus tablet. Target. Oops. Okay, so this happened to us last time. So what we need to do here is cancel out of this. Cancel out. And then we need to exit Eclipse. and then come back in because it needs to pick up the Google API. So come back on in. There's our reminder of device fragmentation in the Android market. Okay, come back up here to Window, Android Virtual Device Manager, New, BuzzTouch, Nexus, Google API 17, whatever else you want, and hit OK. So now we have a device that we can actually test our application out on. Just tells you a little bit about it too. Go ahead and exit out of that. And then you can clear this console if you'd like. There's just information about it. So now we want to import a project. Let's go to File, Import, Android, existing Android code into Workspace. Hit Next. Browse to our code is, which is in the Downloads folder and the unzipped bundle. It's not the ADT bundle, the 2.0 test bundle. Hit OK. If you get the check mark here, it shows project, you're good. Hit Finish. It's going to build the workspace. So it's going to say unable to resolve target Google APIs 8 because by default it goes and looks for an Android. Well, the BuzzTouch package says look for a Google API, but the default properties for Eclipse is to go look for an Android API. Easily solved though, as soon as it's done building the workspace. So if you right click on that, properties, Android. Okay, it's actually got the Google APIs already, so it must have taken care of it. So you can hit cancel. Notice that there are no problems, so that's good, just warnings. And we don't actually have to worry about these. These are just warnings. The app still will compile. But, you know, always be looking in here for different things. So now we could actually run the program. One more thing, let's do it. BT activity root, not a very cool package name. Highlight, right click, do refactor, rename. Call it 2.0 test if we want. Hit OK. And it'll go ahead and change the name. And I don't know exactly everything that it changes, but I do know that it works. So it's all good. And at this point, if we wanted to, after it's done building the workspace, assuming that there are no problems that we need to deal with, remember warnings are okay, problems are not. At this point, if we wanted to, we could actually compile by right-clicking and doing a run as Android application. Well, we're not going to do that today. So that is how you install the Java JDK and the Eclipse ADT bundle onto Windows 8. One last thing I will mention, I've seen some people get a Java error, as in it can't be found, and I think that that's a bit mismatch, the 32-bit versus 64-bit. But if for some reason it says it can't find a path to your Java, here's what you can do to take care of that. Come back to your desktop, fire up your File Explorer here, go to the location that your Java install is. Remember, you got to hit the JDK thing. Click up in here so that you have something highlighted like that. Right click, do a copy. And then on highlight your computer, right click, do properties. Click on properties. What we're going to do here is we're going to set the path that it looks for, that Windows looks for the Java. So click on Advanced System Settings. Go to Environment Variables. Scroll down here until you see Path. And again, this is the path that Windows goes and looks for different things. Hit Edit. And at the end, which will automatically be the end there, you can add a semicolon. And then paste in what you copied. And then you can hit OK. and now the system knows where to look for the Java if it needs to. So there you go. That is how you install your Eclipse ADT on Windows 8, and hopefully this is helpful for you. Notice here that we have the Eclipse thing pinned to the start menu, just like we did before, so that's pretty cool. So there you go. That is how you install your Android development environment on Windows 8. Hopefully this has helped. Please head over to buzztouch.com for all your mobile app development needs. And if you have any constructive criticism or anything of that nature, then just go ahead and leave it on the YouTube site. Thank you very much, and happy app developing.